Welcome. I'm Janelle Kolaski, a career mindset coach and actor.
And I'm Amanda Dubois, a self-authenticity and prosperity life coach and actor as well. And we're your co-host of Mindset Artistry YouTube channel,
where we teach you the art of discovering and using your mindset
to build a career and life you desire.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Mindset Artistry. We've got Ian Lyons today, which I'm super excited about because we met on this wacky shoot for National Geographic, and there were teleprompters and snakes and spiders and bugs involved. Yeah, it was pretty wild. Well, we're going to do a little bio here and talk all about Ian, and then we're going to just jump right in. So he was born in Rhode Island, raised in Connecticut with two older brothers and a single mom. The limelight was always something Ian made every effort to avoid. His father and oldest brother, Christian, were both actors. His mom, a regional theater director. Ian was always more attracted to the art of filmmaking. And after years of turning bright red whenever he had to speak in front of class, Ian decided to pursue a career behind the scenes. Days after marrying his film school sweetheart in NYC Central Park in 1998, that's so cute, Ian and his new bride ventured off to LA to pursue their film and TV production careers. Years passed along with several grueling production jobs, and soon Ian realized behind the scenes was no fun and thankless as factory work. So given an opportunity to audition for a role on Sabrina the Teenage Witch, one of my favorites, oh my God, Ian jumped at the chance and booked it. What? And that's where it all began. Now, 21 years later, still happily married, father of two nearly adult boys, 2 heart surgeries, and a stint living in Belgium, Ian finally feels comfortable enough to call himself an actor. Wow. Okay, there's a lot in there, Ian, but I'm still floored about Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And it's very funny. So my brother, he has autism and he's super cool and amazing. And he loved the cat.
Oh, yeah.
Salem would just laugh and cackle, and he would still, to this day do that. And he also nicknamed me Sabrina because it's kind of funny. It was his favorite character, so it was a loving nickname. So tell us about that experience, because that's what launched you.
I still have a little hat because I worked on the production end of it before I got that audition. So I have a little production hat with the cat on it, a little red, let's get a winter hat. I should give it to you to give it to your brother.
I was going to ask, and now you have to.
Yes, I think it's on my dresser. I don't know why you have it out. But
freak out. Okay.
You can't really tell it's Salem, but yeah. No, that was it was one of many production jobs I did in LA. I did a lot of PA work, production assistant work, which is so thankless. It was a lot of getting coffee and getting food, delivering scripts. So on Sabrina, I was delivering scripts for the script department, the writing department. So that was fun. And then one day, one of the writer's assistants said, "We should get Ian an audition on this. He should be an actor." And I'm like, because I'm kind of high energy and goofy. And then one of the writers was like, "Yeah, we could do that." And then got me an audition, and I booked it. It was the tiniest role, but for me, it was huge. And Leonard Nimoy, Spock's son, directed that episode. I think it's Adam Nimoy. And I had to say, "I'm sorry, folks, we're completely out of popcorn shrimp. There's not one left on the ship." And that's what I did. Go back and do it now. So yeah, that's my Sabrina story.
That's so incredible because I was obsessed with Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I always wanted witchy powers. I always thought,
it's not too late.
It's not too late. It's never too late. And I love that they, did the reboot of it as well with Netflix and did a whole new spin of it. But to get back to you. So what happened next in your career? Now that, you did the PA work for a while and then you got this amazing opportunity to be on the show. And what it to say that is, what does it go? Being at the right place at the right time. That was literally it. And you were open to the opportunity. But what came next for you? What was your thought after that going, all right, well, yeah, I think I want to do this, or I do want to do this. And what was next for you at that time period? And how did that propel you to keep going in that particular field of being an actor?
Oh, I think at that point I was like, wow, that was way more fun than delivering scripts and getting food and coffee. And I'd worked on, I'll kind of do a little backstory on the production. I'd worked on some Nickelodeon shows. And there was this, this producer named Dan Schneider, who I guess is in big trouble now for doing some creepy stuff, but I'll let you look that up yourself. At the time, he seemed cool to me, and he was trying to give me opportunities, to work as a writer's assistant. And I was realizing the production end wasn't where I wanted to go, even the creative end of production. And so after I was given this opportunity, I'm like, wow, that was way more fun. Though it was a tiny role, it's like, this is way more fun, but how do I continue to pursue this? So I knew I needed an agent at that point. And a lot of getting an agent, as I'm sure the two of you know, is who you know, the connections. And my wife was working at this place called the Geffen Playhouse, a theater in LA at the time. And she had a connection with their casting department who hooked me up with an agent, the Levine agency. And one thing led to another. They had me read some lines for them, and I got an agent, and then auditions started coming in.
Well, and you told us that you turned red if you had to speak in front of somebody.
Still do.
Yeah. Hey, I see that now. That
I do too. I hate it.
Okay. It happens to me. It happens to me as well. And you're like, what is happening? Central nervous system. But, you're working all the time, which is so amazing and inspiring. And so what changed then? Because you're like, well, I like this. And then the fear went away, or it's kind of always there and you just work through it.
No, I think it can come and go. Like, I don't like personal attention on me, which I think is why I do turn red like now. And in class when I would have to give speeches and stuff. But when I'm in a character, it's so much more enjoyable. I love the pretending and faking aspect of it. And I think that comes from, when bill collectors would knock at our door when I was a kid, and I'd be like, no, mom's not home right now. And so that's how I learned to lie. But yeah, I think just putting on a character, I found that so fun. And so when I get an audition now, I'm like, ooh, I can delve into this thing and lose myself in that.
How has the industry changed for you when you first started from that first role to now? Have you seen a difference, or have you seen a pickup now that you've been in the industry for so long?
It's definitely been a pickup as far as opportunities, more interesting opportunities. I think when we had our little pre-talk, I talked about how I kind of aged into a place where casting sees me. And before, I don't think they really knew what to do with me, because I wasn't necessarily like the model type or like the muscle guy or any of that. So I think older dad is where they've kind of see me now, or like the kind of mean lawyer, that kind of thing. So it's definitely, as far as opportunities, it's changed. And now with self-taping, it's amazing. Like that change, though it came from, the pandemic and bad things, it's opened the whole world up for me, especially because, I do get that turning red when it's auditions. Like I'm a bad auditioner in person, but I think when I'm on set, I'm good.
Oh, so how have you worked through that, the fear? Like, when you were in the audition room, you still booked it. How did you work through that fear compared to doing it self-tape?
So when I would book an opportunity, when I would, I don't know. I think it really depended on the day. Like sometimes I go in really confident, and then the second I'm in the room, I'm like, oh, I lost it. Where'd it go? Or I realize when I get in the room, oh my God, there's like 46 people in here. I didn't expect that. So, that would throw me. Like, that's one thing about being in the room or being in the waiting room and the different things that could throw you. So I love the control of the self-tape, because there's none of that. I know nothing's going to throw me. I know when you get on set, things can throw you, but it's different. You've had time to prepare. Once you have the role, I think it's a whole different thing, at least for me.
And what have you found what have you found most fun about this transition from being behind the camera to in front? And do you ever find that you're interested in going back to being behind the camera?
I definitely am. I mean, I do think about, my first love is movies. Like, I just love not necessarily being in them, but I think I do approach acting from a fan of film. So I definitely have that desire to make a movie still, but I'm such a scatterbrain that I don't see myself actually following through. So that's my problem. And what have I enjoyed in the change? Is that what you asked about going into? I think I guess it gives me that freedom to create. where on the production end, I was realizing that LA, unless you approach it from the indie side and try to raise the money and all that, I didn't feel a sense of anything really being created. I felt like it was a factory of trying to produce all of this content. And maybe that's changed the behind the scenes end of things now with streaming. But at the time, it just felt like I don't really want to be a part of this factory. And it was all consuming. The hours were insane. And my wife and I started on the same show when we were production assistants on this one UPN show way back when. And we had separate days off. So we got no time together. And it was I mean, not to whine, but it was hard.
Yeah, oh, it's a lot. I always think of that. Like I did a shoot last week and, they were like, oh, your call time, you can come with production at 6 because we were all going somewhere. And then she's like, I feel bad. You know what? You come in at 10. And I'm always thinking of like, oh my God, these people have been here for hours already.
Yeah.
And it's so much work. So Amanda and I both coach people in all types of ways. But when I'm speaking to it could be a model or an actor. And just really know your job, do it well. Don't be a diva. Don't make it weird. Remember, like you're part of a system. It's not just about you. And there's a lot that came before you and a lot that's going to happen after you. So just do your part. So I would love, because now, Amanda and I are getting older.
Oh, please.
No, but Amanda's like, I'm not aging, but wait. It's a good thing because you hear like my mom would always say like, it always works out, but you don't really know that until you've been through things where you're like, is it going to work out? And so I love advice you have for people because we're already talking about it. And obviously you switched, sometimes people are afraid to enter entertainment industry in one way because they'll only be seen that way and they can never transition. Or also like people think there's a certain timeline. Well, if I'm not acting by this age, I'll never work the way that I want to. And so I would love if you could really speak to all that, how you kept yourself going, what advice you have to everybody that's listening regarding these timelines and, only wearing one hat and then you're damned to that hat forever. It's just
First, I want to say I applaud you two for creating your own content and doing the different things you do to stay active and be creative. Because that's important. Because there's no said timeline that's going to work for anyone. It works differently for everyone. And so many people I know have dropped out of it. I was speaking actually today, and I won't give any names. So I was speaking today with a young friend who he is getting tons of auditions. And we spoke about it. The industry's in a weird place. There's not a lot of opportunities right now, but he has tons. But he's overwhelmed by it. And he's getting like 5 auditions a week and he's not seeing results. And so he's getting very frustrated and he's wondering, is this really what I want to do? And then some of us are like, wow, we would die for those opportunities. But then you have to understand that if you're not getting opportunities, it's difficult and you don't know where it's going to go. If you're getting them, you don't know if you're doing all that work for nothing. So I think just trusting your gut. If you think this isn't for you, then, get out of it. I realize for me, it's the only thing I know how to make money at. So I'm not to say I'm rich or anything, but it's the only thing that I continue to make money at. So I have to do it. I enjoy it. It's fun. But I have no expectations. If something huge happens, then great. I love that element of it, of not knowing what could come next. And we all have that opportunity of maybe it could be a life changer. Though I love my life, so I don't want to change it too much. But, I think it's also important to ground yourself in your reality, whatever that is, your loved ones or who like I said, I have my, my kids and my wife and my dogs and my love of movies. Like those things keep me grounded and make all of this, while important to me to some degree, it's not everything. And you need to think about, when you're on your deathbed, God forbid, in many, many, many hundreds of years, what's going to matter to you? Did I get their role on Law and Order, or did I spend more time with my kids? And spend time with the kids. I said the right thing. Good. There. Yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but yeah, like there is no set timeline. You just got to ride it. And if you feel it's time to get out, get out. But if you stick with it, then great. And maybe you'll find success at your own level. And you have to accept what your level is. And if you don't, it's hard. You can't really compare yourself to other people because it's so different for all of us.
I love that. Is that something that you grew into with this like mindset, or is it something that you like went in with and just it was like your root in your core, that mindset of it'll happen, you know, what's meant for you? And
I mean, generally in life, that's how I am about, it is what it is. But no, I would say when I first started out, opportunities, when I get an opportunity, I'd be like, why? I didn't hear anything. Is it me? As we all do. I doubt myself and blame myself, or what did I do wrong? So it's something I've come to accept and appreciate that, if it didn't happen, then so be it. I've got all this other stuff that's important to me. And really, does that matter? Sure, maybe financially it could matter, but I think it's something I've embraced over time to let myself off the hook.
Lovely. I'm curious because I am also a big fan of Jaws. So tell me a bit about your background here, because I see Jaws. I see some like, are you like a horror buff or something?
Oh, I saw that you are.
I am a horror buff. I love good horror.
Huge.
Horror Christmas. I love horror. So tell me, like, your top three. Go ahead.
My top what?
Your top three, like, horror movies.
Curious. Oh, gosh. I'll say The Changeling from 1979. George C. Scott. Ooh. It's a ghost story. Really creepy. Not gory or anything, but really creepy. I mean, over here in this corner, you can't see, but I have some masks from An American Werewolf in London.
What? That's a
classic. And Return of the Living Dead is another favorite. 1985. It's the movie that turned me onto horror. I'm a huge horror fan. And all movies. Like, this is our movie room.
I love it. Because every time I think of Jaws, I think of the fact that animatronic didn't actually work and all that stuff. And then it came together. So it's just a real testament to like, just keep going. And now it became a cult classic. And it's like the epitome of what people think of when you think of like horror and,
animatronic. What do you mean? It's not a real.
No, it was real. It was real.
Oh. Yeah, it was
but Amanda and I went surfing, and she wouldn't go for a while because she was afraid of sharks.
Because Megatron apparently does exist somewhere, and I really have a fear of sharks. But then I love them, though. That's the thing. I'm obsessed.
I love them, but then she tried to bait them because she broke her nail while we were surfing in the blood. I was like, just the typical Aries, just one extreme to the other. The fear that's like, let's go, throw the chum in the water. Anyway, you two scary people, why do you like horror? What is it? What is it about it?
Do you want to go first, Amanda?
No, Ian, you answer first, and then I'll answer after. I want to hear your.
For me, I think it comes from a sense of nostalgia, and like my brothers, my older brothers, they would put on like the movie The Howling, which is a werewolf movie. Mm-hmm. And I remember telling on them, saying, "Mom, they had The Howling on." And they got in trouble and they had to turn it off. So I think it was that great fear that I had of those movies. And now that they don't scare me anymore, I'm chasing that nostalgia of the fear. And it's just complete escapism. I love all genres, but the escapism of horror, because I don't really believe in that stuff.
How interesting. For me, it's a bit nostalgia as well, but it's a different way. I remember going to the movies and really with my mom specifically. And we went to horror movies. She was like my introduction to horror. Even though she's scared of them, she'll watch it and then like sleep with the light on, but she loves a good horror movie. And so she got me into it. And it was like our bonding, a way that we bonded. And to this day, I think it's a way. She's like, oh, did you watch this? It's not that scary, but you watch it and you let me know.
Aww.
And so it's just like a way for us to bond. But I love everything about it because I think it combines the fantastical of life and the things that we can't quite explain. So it's like it makes you question the reality versus the non-reality and what's real and what's not. So that's what I love about it. And also just the jump scares just makes you like, oh, that was good. They got me. I get excited when I'm like, you see scary blood. Like the Insidious franchise, I think it turned the whole industry around that like time period, as well as like Saw when that first came out, and the classics like Exorcist. And I think whenever I hear that theme song, I just get so excited because I'm like, my mom hates it, but I actually love it. It's just
the tubular bells.
Yes, I just love it. And I could picture everything about the movie. And I think that's also what I like about it. And I think about it as I've gotten older, the magic behind the scare. That,
oh yeah,
yeah, you know, the magic behind the scare.
James Wan has mastered that. The
Yes.
Insidious guy. Yeah.
He definitely did. So I love that. Have you shared that with your kids and your wife?
I forced, sorry, not forced, but she was willing to go, but I made my wife go to way too many bad horror movies. I'm like, Rotten Tomatoes says it's good, and they're always turn out being really bad. So I thank her. I've tried to get my kids into horror, and just now my 17-year-old, he's starting to get into it, but I started them really early. I'm a bad dad.
So much. You may make the next, Stephen King. Who knows, right? Like, you never
I'm
know.
not scared of anything now because I started it too early, but I can't imagine what I did to them when they were too young. Sorry.
It's okay. I'm probably a little traumatized from that too, but I kind of enjoy it. Have you ever started or been in a part of a project that was in horror?
No, that is what I mean, I did a college film. I wouldn't count that. It was fun, but no, I want that more than anything.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You gotta be scarier, Ian.
You dream director. Go ahead.
Yeah, you gotta be scarier.
I want to be killed in one.
No, listen. This is what you do, because you could do this. Okay, so you're like the dad. You said you're the dad.
Yeah.
You know what keeps happening to me? I keep ending up on creepy shows, creepy waspy shows. So it's like that's what you got to find your space there.
The waspy got me a lot.
Yeah. The
like movie The Stepdad. It wasn't like a horror movie. He'd be turned into like a killer.
Oh, I never saw that, but yes.
Like that concept could work, that creepy stalker neighbor, or that's how you got to pitch it now.
Call your agent.
All right.
Ian, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. You got to call your agent and tell him to pitch you.
I want to be killed. I just want to be killed. Just put me in a scene and murder me in fake life.
Gore, just pure gore.
Yes, I love gore.
like what did I see? The most recent one was the Last of Us.
Oh yeah.
That was creepy.
Yeah. That has some good creepy stuff.
Yeah. That's horrific to me. I guess it's not technically horror, but it was
zombies. No, that's creepy. It's creepy.
It was.
Yeah.
You could die in one of those.
I would love it.
And then you could come back with one of them.
Coming to Boston. So maybe I can do that.
Walking Dead coming to Boston. That's great.
I hear one of them is, yeah.
There's so
you got to call your agent and you have to say, pitch me for this.
I know. I'm sure she is. She's amazing.
Yeah. But just call her again. I'm excited. We're going to get you. I want to see you on The Walking Dead, right?
Yeah. They need a red guy. Red guy.
That's what makeup is for. Don't worry about that. That's the part of the eye hanging out or half an ear, non-teeth or something, peeling of a head. This is what makeup's for. The makeup department.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm in.
Clearly, I'm going the dark route.
I'm with you. Talk horror all day.
Oh my gosh, I love everything about horror. But circle back now.
Sure.
I was just thinking about, with the industry today and kind of like the slowness of it, also speaking to the fact that you said, when things happen, your time comes. Has it made it a bit easier for you now the fact that casting knows where to fit you? Casting goes, you're the dad type. Do you find it that you're way more kind of confident and relief in that relief, even though it's slow right now?
Yes. Yeah. It didn't sound like a very confident yes. No, yeah, this is a weird time right now. So I'm like, but I do see it as slow for everyone. No, definitely. I do trust that I'll be put in the right place. I do like the challenge of doing something, maybe more things with more depth, which I did get to do in January, which is like a role about a dad dealing with the suicide of his teenage son. So that kind of challenge is really fun, which I don't think I'm really seen as I don't look very sensitive. Maybe I look kind of pricky, maybe. So I don't get a lot of those. So it was nice to get that opportunity. So yeah, I think getting that footage will help lead to more of those opportunities. So it's really about just putting the building blocks. And that's what I like about it, that I still care and get excited about it and see that there is room to change. And as I get older, see there's different places that they'll be able to put me. And I trust that they will.
And what was besides that, was there anything you took away on top of that from the project you did in January that you feel will resonate with you forever, as far as switching that and dealing with something that's a bit more dramatic, a bit more heavy, a bit more sad?
I think what I can take from it is that I can do it. If I think there was some concern, because this script called for me to really be bawling and talking. I mean, we'll see how it comes out when I see my footage, but when I was doing it, I felt like I was doing the best I could do with the material. So I think it gave me some further confidence to do more of that kind of work, as I think every job does. Would you agree that, every job kind of builds to like, oh, it kind of opens you up in certain ways to the next opportunity?
Oh yeah, like I did a film in August where I knew they want me to cry a little bit, but then like I didn't realize till I was there how much. It was like a lot all the time. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I had to do an accent on top of that.
God.
But then what's really fascinating about that is it's like you're in all these classes, and I went to William Esper Studio for 2 years. I've been in plays. Amanda's been in plays. Like you do all this stuff that seems so low stakes. So you've already done a little bit of it. And then it's like, oh, but it's a film. It's TV. And it suddenly makes it like you can't do it. And it's like, well, I've been doing it. Just nobody saw it before.
And all gets squeezed into that moment. You're like, this is the moment that they asked me to do the thing that I've done many times, but this is I have to do it right now. And that's where it's like, oh, can I?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think this script did call for more tears, which I realized I'm not naturally coming up with a whole lot of tears. So I just had to feel it as much as I could. And I knew I was feeling it. Was I bawling? No. But, I understood, realistically, this is, I think, what would happen to me in this situation. And then hopefully we give them what they want. Yeah.
I know. I'm always like, think character thoughts, because then it makes it so much easier to be grounded. It's amazing. Acting's crazy. Well, you played twins with David Hyde Pierce.
Did.
Tell me about that.
That was okay. So that's one of those experiences where this was for a double role. So they just wanted me to double for him. So I said no to this at first because I was like, I'm actually just interested in principal work. And so this doesn't interest me. And they came back to me. They're like, this is principal work. David wants a real actor to act with because he's playing his opposite his twin. So he needs to be able to act back and forth with him. So we really want someone. So I'm like, okay, so I could do that. They're like, the thing is, though, you're going to shave your head. And also, so just be bald totally on top, which I'm not far from it. But I had to go further. And I had to memorize both roles and fully act both of them with him, which is like, oh my God, that sounds kind of terrifying. Because I was not sure I was up to it and to act in like a series regular capacity for that episode. And so I was hoping I would get COVID. This is the red face me that was like, oh, I hope I get COVID and I don't have to do it because I really don't. I hope they don't want me because I don't know if I can do this. And then I realized they wanted me, and I got on set, and David Hyde Pierce is like, have you done this before? I'm like, no. He's like, I haven't either, like play twins with someone. And I realized, well, he really needs someone. And so I memorized the lines. And, when you get at the level that I've acted at, like you get a couple of scenes, you work your butt off on them. And then you go in and you know them super, super well. But with this amount of scenes, I had several scenes playing both these roles opposite each other. I was like, oh my God, I can't be as, precise and just, I had to be looser and just understand, okay, I've got that in my head, go on to the next scene, memorize that, and then flip them and then, practice the other role opposite the other one I know. And it was just extraordinary to get to work with him. He was amazing. And I'm not a person who's like, ooh, I love that actor. Though now I do because I know him and he's amazing. But I was working with Sarah Lancashire as well, who plays Julia on the show Julia, and to get to work with her too. And she's amazing. It was just a mind-blowing experience. And they gave me really nice letters after. And it was the sweetest, they said I would come. And then they gave me a role.
Well, shit.
Yeah, no, it was the coolest. Like I don't know if I told you this, but at the end of our last scene that we were doing playing twins, David Hyde Pierce and myself, the DP, the director of photography, said, we could have give Ian his own role. And David Hyde Pierce walks over and he's like, oh, I've been talking to people. And then the show creator came over, Daniel Goldfarb, and he's like, hey, Ian. Next thing I knew, a couple of weeks later, they had me back on set for my own role, which was, I was like, when they said, oh, we have to give Ian his own role, people say nice things. I was like, okay, it's a nice thing. That's a nice sentiment. But they followed through and they really did it. It was the most rewarding experience I've had as an actor, just because they were so giving and sweet and sincere. And just everyone was on the same level. And then I had the small role and they said, so I filmed that. And when I came back on set to do this small role, the assistant director, she's like, hey, and we have Ian back after I'd done those 3 weeks as the twinning, and everyone cheered. It was the sweetest. It was just magical. And you know me, I turn red because I'm like, oh, too much attention on me. But it was the coolest. And I did that. And I spoke with, going further back, Chris Kaiser was the showrunner on that show. And I was a PA, a production assistant on the show Party of Five in 1999, 2000. He didn't remember me at all from that, but I worked in his office. I would buy him lunch and see him in the hallways all the time. But I got to come up after they gave me my own role at the end of the show. I'm like, look, I brought the big cast and crew photo that they gave us on Party of Five. I'm like, there I am. And there you are. And he's like, oh my God. And it was so cool. And he's like, if the show gets picked up for a third season, you're coming back. We have more for your character to do. Did not get picked up. But c'est la vie. I mean, that happens. And the way I look at it is that was such a perfect experience working on that show that not coming back means nothing's going to mess with that memory of that experience. And sure, it's sad that people don't have jobs. I'd love to come back. But it remains glorious in my head as what it is.
I love every bit about this story because this is just to show you started off with major hesitation.
Yeah.
Right? You were kind of against it. You were resisting it. And
I wanted COVID.
Yeah. And then, right, you wanted COVID. You didn't want this so bad. You're like, I don't want to get sick and I want to be forced not to do this. And
because I didn't trust me. Yeah.
Right. And what a beautiful thing that came about that you decided to continue to do it and you did it. And then I'm assuming you trusted yourself along the way or gained a bit of trust with yourself. And not only that, you gained trust from your peers and you showed up every day. And it's just a great example of do your job and do it well and show up and have, the passion in your art, the passion, whatever it is that you want to do, because it will eventually reflect on somebody else and they will advocate for you like they did. Not everybody's going to follow through with a word. We know that. But your work will. Your work.
And do it for you. Do it for you. Trust yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, take a chance. I mean, as terrifying as that is for me, just taking that chance has been so rewarding. Like that, far and away, though it sounds like, oh, he played a twin, a double, and it doesn't sound like anything to anyone. But for me, I learned so much about myself from that. And it's been so rewarding. So take a chance. If you fear it, just go for it. Unless it's a shark.
Maybe. You never know. They're not that dangerous. So I've heard. I love it. Yeah, that's so wonderful. And thank you for sharing that because I think everybody needs to hear that because there's so much that we put on ourselves, expectations of others and this career and like timeline of if you don't make it at a certain time, then you never will. And if it's too overwhelming, you give up. And like, just a great story that you'll have forever. And remember that there's still magic in this.
Yeah.
There's still magic in it. And a lot of it comes from our own ability to choose ourselves, like you said, that magic. And what came from that is just incredible relationships and like from wherever that may go, not from that season being picked up again, but you met so many amazing people. Later on, people are going to do job. They're going to remember you. And that's what we have to keep in mind when we're doing this, not about the fame and like, it's about the work. It always is about the work and the collaborations and the connections. Because I think that's what makes it worthwhile, at least for me, you know, and I'm sure you can relate to that.
And not having expectations too.
Mm-hmm.
Don't expect anything from anyone. And then that makes it so much more rewarding and surprising when there is a follow through or some sort of offer of something, or, don't do things to get something. Just do it for your, not necessarily for yourself, but do it for the experience. And then if something comes of it, then great.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And I think you touched on this a little bit earlier, but it's just, I don't know. If a person is having like a super down day or year or something, like what advice you have for them? Like, for you were like, I enjoy this, so I'm going to keep doing it. But then, we can get in our head and be like, am I really meant to do this? I mean, for me, I think I'm just stubborn. I always compare myself to that kid in A Christmas Story that's like going down the slide. He comes back and he's like, I want the BB gun. Like, I'm just like going to achieve. I'm always checking in if something still brings me joy. And I've always just said to myself, if I really want to do it, that just means there is work out there for me, because I don't believe I would really want to do it if there wasn't work. So I don't know what it is for you. I mean, I know you enjoy it, but for people that are like, I just don't know, maybe I'm crazy, I should give up. I don't know.
I mean, if it doesn't, obviously we all go through moments where we have doubts about it. But if you're not feeling the passion for it, the excitement for it, and you're not doing it for you, then why do it? Like I'm not one to believe in, other lives and all that kind of stuff. And to each their own. So live this life that you have, make the best of it. And if, it's too short to kind of squander on things you don't really want to do, and just do it for the right reasons. And if you're frustrated and you feel, it's taking all your life away and all these opportunities, like the friend I was talking to today, he just felt like really kind of shut in. And I said to him, like, do it for you. They don't own you. You are your own boss. So do it for the right reasons. And it's okay if you don't want to do it. And it's great if it's okay if you do want to do it. I don't want to say it's greater to want to do it, but whatever is best for you, and be honest with yourself.
Yeah. And that balance, like, I don't know, Amanda and I are always posting this Mindset Artistry stuff we do. And I love roller skating and I love dancing. And,
I don't know those things.
It's so much fun. But I think it's definitely helpful. Like, you're like, I have my kids and my family. It takes the pressure off. I think that's really beautiful to say and share, because you got to make sure you're also mixing in. I just always have this anxiety that like my life will go by and I didn't like do a little bit of everything that brings me joy. I don't want to get too lost in the work. And be like, oh my gosh, I didn't dance. I didn't skate. I didn't surf. I don't know. Find the best cookie in New York. I don't know.
Have you found the best cookie in New York? I would
Well, I know everybody talks about Levain, however you say it. Those big cookies.
Oh, I like cookies a lot.
Have you had those ones?
I don't know if I have. I guess I haven't.
What? Oh my gosh. I think there's a vegan one now, Amanda.
Are you vegan? Then you can have that cookie.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, so sidetracked us with the cookie.
Well, yeah, I mean, food, cookie, horror movies, all that stuff is relevant to life. If you, I'm thinking like so many amazing things in my head about just a career and trajectory of like, it's never too late, and shifting that, I just admire you for following through and continuing, because a lot of people don't. And what would be the next step for you for your career? Like, I know we talked about like potentially being in a horror movie, but what would be the next step that you feel would be like another magical moment?
Well, I don't want to say that I continuously acted since that Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I mean, I left the country. I was teaching kindergarten for a while. So it's when I came back to the States and I started auditioning again. I'm like, oh my God, I'm booking things. So I would say, well, so it doesn't necessarily go in one, direction, go smoothly in one specific way. What's next for me? I think I'm going to continue and see where it takes me. If nothing happens, then nothing happens. I mean, I'll have to find another way to make money. But I don't know. Obviously, I wouldn't mind some larger roles. I just keep on building upon that, and maybe they'll somewhere down the road there'll be a series or something. Who knows? Though I'd prefer a horror movie with many sequels.
That's my kind of guy. That's my kind of guy right there. Love me a good horror. Well, thank you so much. I'll let Nelly wrap it up and do her magical thing. Any last thoughts, Nella Dally?
Yeah, I mean, Ian, do you have any last thoughts? Anything else you want the world to know based on your life experience?
No, I mean, I don't claim to be anything too huge, but I know just, be true to yourself and trust your gut. And if something doesn't feel right, then maybe it's not right. And if it feels good, then pursue it. And, just make sure you enjoy life as it moves along and don't let that pass you by. But, that's it.
That's it. That's perfect. Oh my gosh. Ian Lyons, everybody. Thank you so much. Yay.
Thank you. Good to see you.
What are your thoughts about this episode?
Drop it in the comments and let us know what you want to dive into next.
Subscribe, like, share, and click the link below to book a free consultation. And
we'll see you next time.